Hello. I wanted to jump into one of the newer ones, 251108. So this was posted on Model Monday Live. And again, thanks to Toby for hosting those. It's always a fun thing when I'm able to jump in on Monday afternoons and compete against other CAD packages and participate in the chat. So always love that. Today's Hex Quad Plate. We can kind of preview here that we got this hex shape and that it's definitely a part with symmetry. So this one's got an interesting shell to it as well. We are in grams and let's jump in. All right, so I'm going to start with a sketch on the top plane and I'm going to do a sketch region on this one. I'm going to add a circle. And this has a diameter of 150 from that top view there. And add another circle for the center. That one's got a diameter 28. I'm going to add a construction circle out here. Unfortunately, construction circles always give us a radius. I'm going to switch that to diameter and make that 105. And switch out of construction mode to add a couple of circles. So not equal, but I do want these small ones to be equal. So I'll make that 17. And that was here. Okay. I'm also going to make the cut. I'm going to make that on a 45-degree angle. Shows up here. That's good. And make I could do an arc, but man, I just really like making circles instead of arcs. It's my own personal pet peeve, I guess. And then we'll delete those segments and we're left with the arc. This radius has a radius of 88. And then interesting. Definitely want to undo that for a second. Let's put a dimension across here. And remember when you're dimensioning between 2 points that where you middle click matters. So you want to click between them to get the diagonal distance. All right, let's try changing this to 88 now. There we go. And that looks like all the dimensions. Just to get this ready for sketch regions, I'm going to make that a corner cut. I can't extrude this with those lines there, but if I'm in sketch regions, I can select this area and extrude that. I'm going to give that a depth of, in our front view here, 40. And we can give that a rotation. I wonder if that sketch will still be available. I want to do one more thing before I, let's see here. If I add a definition on the sketch, I'm just curious. If I add a point, a datum point at the center, and I extrude it, will I get an axis? I do not. Okay. Since I want to do a pattern around the center, in Onshape, I could just select the cylindrical shape, but a Creo quirk is that I have to have an axis to do an axial pattern. So I will drop that axis in there first, and then it'll be there as I, in fact, oh, that won't work. Okay, so extrude, switch this to an axis pattern. I'm supposed to have the axis available, and I was a little worried about that. The axis is not showing up. It's not letting me pick a circle. The reason I was worried about that axis not showing up is because I made it based off of the extrude, so it happened after the extrude in the model tree. But I do have the ability to create a datum axis on the fly. And let's just do intersection of the two datum planes. And then we resume, and we can make our 4-hole pattern, axial pattern of our part. Okay, so A1 created that, but in the model tree, it was after where the pattern gets added, so it wasn't available to us. The other thing I'm going to do here is add a chamfer. I do prefer 45 by D. The angle dimension on that chamfer is 9 millimeters. So we'll click on one of these edges and it'll go all the way around. Okay. Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do is add the shell. And the shell is going to, I'm going to remove the bottom wall thickness. I'm also going to remove these holes as wall thicknesses. I have to hold down Control to select those multiples. The thickness is 6, but notice you can see the chamfer up here. The top is not going to be 6. The top is going to have 6, but also 15 above that, so we can make that a non-default thickness. Click on the top, and we'll make this 15 plus 6. Okay. And then when we bring that in, it comes down far enough that we don't see that chamfer inside there. Let's hide this sketch just to make sure we're clear on that. And yep, see, no chamfers on the inside because we got that added thickness on the top. That allows us to make a single chamfer instead of 4 of them. Now we're going to do some of these cutouts. So let's extrude on the top surface here. Make something like this, and then we'll do a rectangle. And I like to reduce how many dimensions I'm using so I can use tangent. Let's grab the delete segment and get rid of these inner pieces. And all we need then is the dimension of the width. Okay. So we're gonna flip that the other way. We're gonna remove material. We're gonna set the depth here to 15. And that will be patterned. This one I should be able to use the axis that I created. And I usually prefer to set it to the angular extent of 360 rather than 90 degrees between each part. Last step is that hex cutout. So for that, we'll go into the palette. We'll grab the 6-sided hex, double click, click to place, drag that right down onto the origin. Okay. I don't love how they create the default dimension as the width. We will add it as the distance between the flats. And that has a 48 side-to-side distance. Okay. And again, we're going to flip it. We're going to remove some material. We'll set that depth to 15. All right. And take a spin, make sure everything looks right. Let's take a quick cross section. So I like to hit Control D. Go into, it looks like it'll be the Z direction to check this out. We can show the hatch pattern. And that looks a lot like that cross section. I prefer to use the X, Y, and Z because you can get the 3D dragger or not. You can also, if you chose the wrong direction, you can toggle it here versus the planar section, which kind of locks you into just one plane. All right, and we can deactivate that cross section and turn off display of the cross section hatching. And let's see how we did. So plus or minus 1 gram, I have 2290. And that's it. So I hope that helped. And what did we do that was interesting there? We used sketch region to make a quarter piece of it and then pattern it. We made a datum axis on the fly. So while we were in there and realized we didn't have one where we needed it, we could add it while we were making it. The shell And Creo is always a nice tool where we can set non-default wall thicknesses. So take care. See you again soon.